Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use UV mapping to wrap an image file around a cube. I've got an image file here. This is a JPEG file. It's of a Nintendo Entertainment System NES game console. I got this image from CubeeCraft.com, and there's lots of images there you can wrap around cubes and have hours of fun. Okay, going back to if you just look at this cube, it's fairly square from above, a flattened square. Makes life easier if you get roughly, it only has to be rough, the shape of the cube similar. So I'm going to press S for scale and X for the X direction and stretch it that way, and I'm going to press S for scale, Y for the Y direction, stretch it that way. So we've got our squashed cube. Okay, now I need to mark seams where I'm going to unwrap this cube, where I would make cuts to unwrap this cube so it's a similar shape to this. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I'm in quad view at the moment, and it's at this point it is actually easier to toggle out of quad view. I'm in front orthogonal view here, and I want to be in perspective. I can quickly do that just by holding down the middle mouse wheel button on my mouse, and as I drag I go into perspective, and you just need to roughly at an angle so we can see all the edges. Now I'm going to go in from object mode into edit mode, and there's a button here, this one here, that allows you, makes the cube semi-opaque, semi-transparent, and we can see all the edges and we can select all the edges. Okay, now I have to mark some of these edges to be seams. They will be cuts when we unwrap the cube. Now if we look at what we're trying to map to, that is a cut edge, that is a cut edge, that is a cut edge. So we have three clear cut edges there, as opposed to this edge here, which we don't want to cut. Same here, there are three clear cut edges, as opposed to this one we don't want to cut. These here we don't want to cut, but that is another cut. Okay, so we've got three cuts there, three cuts there, and that's our final cut there. The pairs of threes are relatively easy to see. Now I want to select that edge, so I come down here to edge select mode. I select that edge. Now I have to hold down shift to select both those. Now I've selected the top three cuts. I'm holding down shift, the bottom three cuts. Now where is that final cut? Okay, I think it's there. That flap will come open there. Okay, now I've only selected those. I haven't made them seams. So you come into the mesh menu, go to edges and mark as seam. Okay, so I've marked my seams. The next step is to unwrap the cube. To do that, we need to open another window. So I'm going to hover over these white diagonal lines here. I'm holding down the mouse button, and as I drag, I open up another window. And we need to make this window a UV image editor window. To unwrap the mesh, I'm going to press A twice to select all the edges, and then in the mesh menu I'm going to UV unwrap, and it unwraps the cube. Now I'm going to go to image, open, and I'm going to open the image I want to map to. So this button here will display thumbnails. There's the NES, so I open that. Now I want to match the mesh to the image. I'm going to go to toggle full screen to do that. I'm using the mouse wheel to zoom back a bit, and now I'm ready to match the unwrapped cube to the image. Okay, all of the unwrapped mesh is selected, so I'm going to press S to scale, and now they're not selected, so I'm going to press A twice. Now they are selected. S to scale and shrink that down a bit. I'm aiming for this corner, so I'm going to line up the unwrapped mesh with this corner of the image. I'm pressing G to grab, and actually I'm going to zoom in a bit with the mouse wheel. G to grab and line that corner up. Now I'm going to work across now in the X direction, lining up the seams of the unwrapped mesh with the edges of the diagram of the image. So I'm also going to go into edge select mode. One of these down here, this one is edge select mode. So I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to press G to grab and X for the X direction. So there's going to be a series of G's and X's. Select this edge. Now I may as well select all three edges here, so I'm going to hold down Shift and select all three edges, and I'm doing G to grab. Okay, if you don't press X you get that. X for the X direction, and line that up there with that edge. Again, there's three edges here, so I'm holding down Shift, select these three edges, G and X, and that should slide and line up the edge. Final one in the X direction, G and X, and that lines up with that. Okay, now I'm going to select this edge. Now it's G and Y, grab to move, and Y to move in the Y direction. Now I have to select all these edges, so holding down Shift, that edge, and that edge, G and Y, move that up to there, and last one, select this edge, G and Y, and move it up. Okay. Now we've done that, we can go back out of full screen, and what do we do next? Well, we need to create a material for our cube. Because the cube is selected, this new material will be linked to the cube. I'm going to call the new material NES. Then we need a new texture because that material was selected. The texture will be linked to the material, and we need the texture to come from an image. And if we come down to image, now if we click this button, because we've already loaded the image, it is still there, and so we don't have to look for it in the files and folders. One more thing to do. You come down to the mapping panel, in coordinates, you set that to UV, and we're done. Okay, I can close this window up. If I come over the white diagonal lines here and drag the mouse to the right, nothing happens. Try again. Nothing happens again. Keep trying, and eventually when you get that arrow you can release, and that closes up that window. Now it is done. All we have to do is display textured, and there it is done. And come out of edit mode back into object mode, and we have our cube with the image map wrapped around it. And you can press F12, and when it renders with the image map. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. The end file will be at my website, freemovies.co.uk, the Blender channel there. All the lovely image files, you'll have to go to CubeeCraft.com to get those. Okay, thanks for watching, and goodbye.